All right, folks, Simon here. Welcome to the 2023 July Beginner Tack Tournament. This is a special occasion here, and I'll explain why. But first up, we are going to be watching the semifinals game between Evoshen and Takwolf129, or otherwise known in the Discord as Not a Werewolf. I feel like they might be a little on the nose with the whole not a werewolf thing. Yeah, my lady doth protest too much sort of thing. Pretty sure we have a werewolf competing in this tag tournament. But also joining me here in the commentary booth, we do have special guest commentator and excellent player, Tones.
Good morning, or perhaps even good afternoon.
And the audio did work, so he's actually here. Great, I didn't screw it up this time. Um, cool thing that we've got with Tones is he's one of the top five players uh, that we have in TAC, and I want to take a look at some things for Tones real quick. So you see on the screen, sorry for the flashbang, but we've got his first tournament was this year in January in the beginner tournament where he won that tournament and only lost one single game in the group stages, and it was a flat loss. And then we see he played in the following month in the Intermediate Open, the first one we'd ever done, the Intermediate Open. He played in that and went all the way to the finals and only lost against Nitzel. They had to play Blitz tiebreaker, and I believe he lost in the Blitz tiebreaker there. And then he played in the 7x7 Open, which was fairly recently as well. And you can see some of the people that he played against, like Aliano2 and Will and Arch Venison and Pluto. And so, yeah, he played against good people and only lost one game in that tournament also. So he's got a trend where he only loses one game per tournament. And he is ranked number 4 right now in tournament ratings for TAC. So that's it's pretty good. It's a little bit better than my number 10 right now. I dropped in that 7x7 Open. I would have dropped more if I had to play Tones. And we see one
Well,
of the competitors in this tournament is Evoshen, and he has played in the April beginner tournament this year, the February intermediate open this year, the January 2022 beginner tournament, and he was in the TAC League, and he was in the 2021 TAC Open. Evoshen has played in a lot of tournaments. Still in the beginner stages here. But yeah, played in a lot of tournaments. And Takwolf129 has played in no tournaments, and this is their very first one, and they have made it all the way here to the semifinals. So that's awesome for them. We'll see if the newcomer can beat out this sort of veteran, even though it's the beginner tournament of the sport. And I will stop continuously rambling so that Tones can get a word in edgewise.
oh, that's fine, Simon. I just feel like you've given me a lot of hype to live up to here. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep up that one loss per tournament streak. So, yeah, you don't have to, you know, pay too much attention to my commentary.
I don't know. Tones is better than I am, so so yeah, we will pay attention to that.
Hotly debatable. I still have the mentality of a beginner, which is why I'm really excited to come back and commentate this beginner tournament
It
because it
is
feels like
good,
I was
and
in this very recently.
we did see a message from Evoshen last night saying that, oh my gosh, they've already started. So this is game one. Dak Wolf in white, Evoshen in black. They started before I could even join the game. And yeah, they jumped right into sort of a center control, not going for Knights opening or anything like that. Going to go for the center control. Tackle playing a very interesting opening here. And then Evotion kind of sticking to what they know with the mirrored opening and dropping that capstone early on the other side of White's vertical.
Yeah, it's almost like a blitz game here. I suppose it probably just speaks to the fact that they've been, probably thinking about what openings they're going to play, and they've got some amount of, their own theory developed here, so they
They
can just
have
sort of
had
flip out
like
those
a week
first
and a
few
half
moves.
to schedule this game, so I think that it's been a while, and so yeah, they're ready for it.
Do you think they looked at each other's games and thought like, "Oh, I know my opponent's going to be playing the opposite corners opening, so I better think about what I'm going
No,
to play there."
not in the slightest. I do not think that they've done that. I think that even in the top level of play, there are very few people who do that. I think you, Aliano 2, Will, Abyss are basically the only people who do that, which is why you guys are so good.
Yeah, of course, then, two moves in, they play something you weren't expecting, and then you have to actually think.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about that, actually thinking. So I don't when I play, I typically don't do that anyway. Looks like
Yeah,
white
good
is going
policy.
for cutting off that horizontal threat that black is starting to build, but with that capstone coming over and going for that vertical, but also keeping their horizontal alive. This is probably where white's going to want to play at e6 to continue that horizontal threat. I think they have momentum here. Yes, they do have momentum, but barely. Black can cut that off pretty easily with the d5 flat, but white instead goes to place a wall, and I think that might have been a mistake here. Now they play the e6.
Yeah, I agree. E6 was probably the best play to make there. But maybe they were thinking, worried about stopping black's center control there, so just playing a wall just to be safe. But now they've got that E6 placed, and I'm really liking white's positioning here,
Hmm.
just with that really strong threat across the top that it's going to be hard for black to stop.
I really
Although it
like
looks like,
black's positioning actually because I feel like
oh,
that
interesting.
horizontal is really easy to stop for any of those flats right there on row 5. D5, E5, F5, all of those can come up and mess up white's horizontal. And then white's got nothing. Black, however, still does have that horizontal play available and can switch, once one of those flats comes up, can switch to the vertical. And it doesn't seem like a bad play here.
Yeah, and there we see it cutting off the threat with a flat capture. So yeah, the threat's kind of gone, but white did get something out of it.
I think I would have preferred. Ooh, white dropping a flat there. Black definitely needs to drop at f5, and that's what they do. Dropping the flat at f5 is huge because now they protect that stack that white could have captured. I think that I
Yeah,
would
I
have,
agree.
instead of white, playing down below, or even black capturing up there, I would have wanted to see black play at b4 first before capturing up on f6. Because then it forces white to make a different move, and black can kind of get a piece in there, maybe go for a vertical sort of angle here. But overall, I think that it's not bad. Okay,
Oh,
white
that's a good
came
one.
down. Black dropping that wall. I wouldn't have dropped the wall. I probably would have just played at d2, but I think the wall is better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's hard to say whether or not that's like the perfect correct play, but that is pretty strong, just completely demolishing any chance of white making a road through there. Well, black still does have some chance of making a road through the center.
yeah. There's a few threat lines that black has still, and white's kind of screwed at this point. They've got to build over at b5, b4, and then down at b1 or c1 in order to make any sort of threat for the vertical direction, and they don't have any horizontal. So yeah, this is looking a lot better for black than it is for white right now. Evoshen definitely showing his experience in the tournament game here.
Yeah, I think I've played a couple of games against Devotion, and they were a strong competitor for sure.
That's what
You
happens
know,
when you get players from the Dallas area. Evotion's from Dallas. I'm from Dallas.
hmm, no bias here.
No, no bias, none at all.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned this, but we call this the beginner tournament. But by the time you get to this sort of like final stage of the beginner tournament, the players are can be pretty strong.
Yeah, people tend to get a lot better in this tournament, playing consistent games against people who are at your level and sort of kind of challenge you to get better and better as you go along, it really helps. And people tend to get way better during the course of a tournament like this. And we've definitely seen that a bunch of times in the past where people have just gotten so much better. You being one of the key examples of that as well. Although
Yeah.
you came in
First,
pretty strong into the beginner tournament.
well, I will say the cutoff has been, losing against Intuition Bot, and I was at the start of the tournament genuinely losing against Intuition Bot.
Hmm.
But let's see what's going on the board here, because it looks like White is
White's
close to
White's
making a
building a really
strong threat
strong
here.
spot. Now Black is way behind. It's amazing how quickly things shifted here. White, if I'm White, I'm going to want to capture that onto B2. I might place at B3, but I really want to capture that on B2.
They went for the capture. I was about to debate about if we should have placed at B3 because yeah, look at that. You can just
And
drop
now
a
you
wall there.
smash.
Oh, that's actually interesting.
Because my thought was, if you capture, Black's going to drop a wall. And if Black drops a wall, you smash. Because in either place they drop a wall, you can smash it. And then you are still making attack threat from that position while the smash is made. But it doesn't go for it. Ends up spreading. And I think that was absolutely the wrong move, because now exactly that will happen. Black will come down, capture that huge juicy stack with their capstone, and now White's in trouble. Whereas before they had absolute control.
Yeah, now Black can play something like D1 and that's
D1
attack
and make
threat.
her own threat. Yeah. Oh, actually, they can't play at D1 because White is making attack threat right now. Black had to spread upwards because that was a threat right along that path. Now Black's making a threat and cut off White's threat, so White needs to do something about this. Maybe coming over with the capstone stack onto D3. Coming
Yeah,
up with
that
the
seems
wall
strong.
might work, but then if they come up with the wall, Black can still place at D1 for the threat because of the throw from F6 left. Now Black is playing down, going to be ready for that smash on E4. But Black doesn't have a threat here. White can play at A5 and make their attack threat. That smash threat, throwing that capstone left onto B3 would be a road if White played at A5 here, because Black doesn't have a threat yet, so they can afford to play at A5.
Yeah, see, I've got a good winning record, but you've got this killer instinct always seeing these smash threats. And I think that's something that's hard, especially at the beginner level, to identify these threats because they're not really the moves you're normally looking at.
Mm-hmm. Black filling
So
in. That's the move I would have
they
made
haven't
there.
been playing it.
Also, it's a whole lot easier to see when you're not playing.
Oh, for sure.
I will say that, because I'll spot these moves and threats from players when I'm watching the top folks, and but when I'm playing them personally, I miss all of them.
Oh, I actually love what White's doing here, placing these walls, because that wall's just going to march up to... Oh, this is tack. 1 second.
Yeah,
Interrupting
he's got to
myself.
bring F4 left now. But if he brings F4 left, then you'll get Black just placing it at F4 and then making the threat again.
Yeah, for
So
those who
what he
don't
needs
see,
to
there's a
do,
threat of throwing left from F6.
yeah, F6 left. What he needs to do is take E5. So 3E5 minus 1, 2.
Oh, yeah, that could be pretty strong.
And that messes things up. Or 3E5 minus 1, 1, 1. But I like 1, 2 better.
Okay, he did see the threat. Or they did see the threat.
Yeah. Threat was seen, stopped, at least momentarily. Black doesn't have a black flat underneath that capstone. White needs to make that A5 play at some point, but they keep getting stymied over here. Black dropping another flat up there. Doesn't come close to making a road at this point. Black should have probably just dropped at F3 to make that road threat. Put some pressure on.
Yet another smash threat. This game is full of them.
Yeah, white should probably now drop at a5. They have the opportunity. But no, gonna bring that up to stop the eventual smash threat.
See, I do like bringing these walls up because eventually what they're going to do is capture f6 and liberate their flat underneath f6, and that way you can kind of revive this horizontal that's been kind of dormant for so long.
I'm not sure how necessary it is at this point. Like, yes, this vertical threat can be countered fairly easily, but white's got the opportunity to make an eventual +3 move with that capstone. And people listening who are like, what the heck is he talking about with +3 move? It's flat count differential, or FCD. We talk about that in the FCD video of TAC University. And it's a way of describing the difference between white's flat count, black's flat count, and what moves do in order to change that difference. So white is now unable to make that a5 move to make a threat, but black is
Yeah,
setting up to bring that wall over right onto d5 to make the drawbridge threat.
yeah, I agree. Even though I liked White's plan with the walls, I think playing at a5 would have been better. But if you can't see that, then this was a pretty good plan to go with. But yeah, now Black's going to be coming in pretty soon with a strong threat of their own.
But then white dropped a wall at f3 ready to come over and just dismantle everything vertical. So black's gonna have to start playing probably here at c4 and then a5. Try to go for this horizontal threat. I don't know about that. It's a rough spot to be in. But white's
Okay,
got
so we've got,
3 walls on the board.
yeah, I was going to say we've got 5 walls on the board in total. So that makes me think it's highly likely that this game is going to end in flats, just because it's going to be so hard for either player to make a road.
Black is ahead on flats by 2. I think it's 9-11 right now. And that'll do that with those three walls on the board.
Yeah, I think once you get to this stage of the game, like in the beginning, you don't have to think too hard about actually counting the flats. Just play decent moves. Don't give away too many flats to your opponent. But once it gets to this stage, now you have to sort of evaluate, like, okay, where do we actually stand in flats? Because you have to start thinking about the end game.
For sure. Yeah, this is where now we've seen the a5 drop, so he does need to play, or white does need to play at a6 or b6 here to make the threat.
Yeah, perhaps now White is seeing that idea, or maybe they knew about it the whole time and just decided only now to go for it.
Yeah,
We'll
that
have to
could be
ask
it.
after the game. No, really, we can have different ideas about what the best threat is to go for.
Yeah. The problem right now, I'm looking at f6 and capturing up with that wall on f5 to get f6, is once you've done that, there isn't a positive flat count differential move to make afterwards. And so capturing f6 doesn't really do anything at the moment. So it's not a good move. So coming up with the wall doesn't really do anything for you. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking, what could black do at this point that works for them?
Perhaps moving the capstone up?
Yeah, I was thinking about bringing capstone up, because if you bring the capstone up and leave one white flat behind, you're making a threat and you're forcing white to probably move the capstone or something like that. Um, but I was also looking at potentially dropping, just bring the capstone to the right onto e4. So if you bring the capstone right on e4 to come up for the hard capstone smash on e5, that's nice, but it doesn't give you the tack threat. Oh, so he comes down. Okay, I like this move too. And I like this one because he's saying, all right, come over, bring your wall over onto d5 so I can smash it and
Yeah,
get
that
an
would
even
be a lot
stronger
of
stack.
flats for black under the capstone if that happens.
Yeah, and
Although
so I
it
think
seems like
white
maybe
might
White's
drop a.
best option instead is to either move with the capstone down below, Or what were you going to suggest?
Well, so because of white's behavior so far, white might drop a wall at d6. Or they might just bring f3 left, which is what they had planned to do all along. Because they dropped
Yeah,
that
that's
wall on
true.
f3. And I like the wall coming left because it's just a no lose right there. You placed it there, you've got to use it, right? And that's exactly what they did here. They used that thing they set up to make that play. Now, let's see.
Okay, so now, see, now it's really hard still for black to make a threat in either direction.
It is, but black is ahead by 2 flats.
So they're not even really necessarily the one that has to be making threats.
Correct. White needs to make threats. White is now making a threat. Let's see if black sees it. Now, if you're black and you see this threat, what do you do to stop it? I think you would come up with a2.
I thought perhaps coming down with b3, just get out of the way of that wall.
Oh, I don't think that's the play here.
Yeah, that is a bit dangerous,
Yeah,
because
because
now
you
you can
might
like place
still
b3 and it's
like,
another threat.
yeah, you can just replace with b3. Can also smash for a threat. But he places a flat, and placing the flat is the smarter threat right now because he's down on flats.
Yeah, how are the reserve counts looking? How many pieces do they
They
have
look
left?
pretty even. I think black's got one fewer. I think it's 9 to 10. Black with
So
9.
really, black is just thinking, I just have to survive this threat and I'm set. Oh, I think that's probably the best way to do it too. Just
Mm-hmm.
stepping out of the way of that white capstone and making it so there's no way for or sorry, no way for white to just capture onto b4.
Now, what if white threw the capstone or spread the capstone stack? Let's see, 5d3 left 1 4. Renews the threat, brings the capstone left, opens up black to be able to make this vertical threat again, but it makes the vertical threat for white happen again. I think it's a risky move at this point, but white needs to be a little riskier because they're down on flats.
Okay, here's my thought. That might be a good idea because so white jumps the capstone left. Black could jump the capstone left to block, but then white could capture the stack on d5 once the capstone's not guarding it anymore. Of course,
Yeah.
we don't see this play out, but it was just a thought.
Yeah, I think here, let's see. Very interesting play. Oh, wait, hold on. Black brings just the wall over to make that spread left with the wall stack.
Wow.
I did
It's gonna
not
take
see
me a
that
minute to
coming.
even see what's going on here.
Yeah, so they want to make that huge flat count differential move. Now, this is where we see the difference between Evoshen and Takwolf in terms of their experience playing in these tournament games. I doubt that Takwolf has played very many games that end in flats. Just because most people who play in beginner tournaments do not play a lot of games that end in flats. Evoshen has played a lot more tournament games and a lot more games of TAC in general, just because they've been around for a long time. And while they are still at that beginner level of play, they understand flat endgames better and understand how important they can be. But let's see if Evoshen understands that you don't make that move just yet. You make it later, because if he makes the move now, White's stack on e5 can come left to recapture some of those flats and do damage control.
Yeah, I agree. You always want to save those flat count moves until the last second when your opponent doesn't have enough time to sort of pick those flats back up.
When your reserve count is lower, or when there's a board fill imminent, something like that.
Yeah, but what's crazy about this last move from Evoshen is that that's a -2 flat count differential move, right? Because it revealed a white stone and it covered up a black stone. So they're temporarily going down in flats in the hopes of making a really big flat count move with that, spreading that whole D5 stack left.
I mean, it would be they're doing a -2 to make a +5. So,
Yeah, so the math might work out actually.
yeah, it's a net +3. So that works, and them revealing the white stone on C5 and not picking it up makes it so white can't just drop a wall at C5 to stop that. And so I understand the logic. It's not a move that I would have made, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm liking it more now that I'm thinking about it a bit more. It's just a question of can white somehow take advantage of this temporary like weakness that black has just decided to give themselves.
Well, I think that right now the 5d3 left 1-4 is still a viable move. It makes attack threat in two different ways of coming up with one C3 or coming up with the capstone at B3, and either of those
That's
would end
actually
up
quite
being
nice.
a threat. Now, black can stop that with that same spread, but not the exact same spread with a yeah, actually with the same spread it would work.
Yeah.
White instead dropping a flat up top, I guess planning on eventually coming up with the F6 wall to make the drawbridge threat.
Yeah, finally bringing that threat back into the game.
Yeah, going for that F6. I think that's what the idea is here for white, but I'm not sure about that. Um Black makes the throw.
Okay, here's the question. Do you think that was too early? Because
Yes,
now white has the opportunity to take back some of those flats.
absolutely too early. I think white wants to do that same capstone spread left here, and they can either capture up and get C5, or they'll be like, or they can get B5 if the capstone or the wall doesn't stop them. And so they're threatening to capture either C5 or B5 with that wall move, and either one works great.
I actually like something like 3e5 left 111, just taking that b5 stack
Yeah,
immediately.
that also works really well
Instead,
too.
instead white's going for some kind of a6 right.
Yeah, I don't know what the idea is with that. Maybe they're really stuck on the idea of that horizontal thread along the top.
But yeah, black just fills in and now yeah, I guess there is still some possibility of white making like a double threat. Yeah, sometimes you make those moves with some idea in mind, but then it just immediately gets shut down and you realize it was just not destined to be. But I think all the options that white had are still on the table.
Yeah. I think that white should be focusing on this vertical, despite having the walls and the capstone there. I think that the vertical is their best way to kind of make any headway here, because black's got them on flats, and black's going to keep just placing and getting further ahead on flats unless they do something drastic to recover. And moving the capstone or moving this wall stack, recovering with B5 or C5 is the way to go. Now, this is attack threat, which feels like it's just automatically blocked by the capstone. Like, that feels like the only viable move here, basically, for black. And it doesn't seem bad for black either.
Yeah, so we're finally seeing that black bring the capstone idea over. Looks like Mediocre to Borland was also suggesting that in the Playtech chat. And yeah, I think black probably just, brings their own capstone left because
Yep.
they're saying, hey, white just made a -1 flat count differential move, so I can afford a -1 flat count differential move just to block it.
Yeah. And now we might see the e5 move left, but I don't think the white sees that.
Yeah, that's a bit of a long shot, that 3 e5 left, 1-1-1.
Also, not a move that you often see beginner players seeing. Noticing those longer throws, especially leaving behind a lot of enemy pieces, not a move you often see from beginner players because it's pretty counterintuitive.
Well, yeah, especially because all of the conventional wisdom says don't
Don't do
make like
that
those big negative moves. Don't do that.
because more flats, more better. We know this.
That's how the saying goes.
It is how the saying goes. I think it might have been Evoshen who said that in the original Twitch chat during the Blitz tournament where I coined that phrase. I think it was Evoshen who said it in the Twitch chat, and then I just kept repeating it over and over again. So he might have been the true originator of that phrase. More flats, more
Well, if
better.
that's the case, then it's really showing in this game because because he's up on flats.
He's doing it. He's doing the thing. All right. That is not a threat. White seems like they're treating it as one though. 'Cause that
Yeah, I
wasn't a
mean,
threat,
sometimes you
right?
see something that's like, no, I don't think it was a threat, but sometimes you see something that's, you can tell it's about to become a threat. You don't know exactly how, and you just think, let's cut this off before anything
Yeah.
bad
It's
happens.
like I got to do something about this.
The problem is black's just sitting here. They've placed 3 flats in a row on the last 3 turns, and they're pretty close to flatting out here. So
I mean, white can make a
white really
threat by
has to be
placing at
focused on
f3.
placing at f3. Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, I was gonna say white has to be focused on just any way they can get flats back or make threats before that clock runs out.
And I think the key to that is capturing at b5. But now I really want to smash that. I want to smash it so bad. But he's not doing it. He's capturing up to make another threat.
Oh, and that's not too bad because the black capstone can't actually go right to stop that
Got to drop the wall.
because it was pinned. So that did actually, because you forced black to play a wall, you've gained one flat back,
Yeah, but now
at
black
least
can
in the
bring the
short
wall
run.
up and then make a +3 move afterwards.
Such
So
is life.
ultimately not great. Yeah, I would find it pretty incredible if black didn't win with flats here. I mean, there's 6 walls on the board. Black is up on flats. Black has multiple positive flat count differential moves available to them. Like it seems pretty rough at this point. White has as a potential to bring up 2f5 plus, and then that's a +1 for them, and then they can make a +2 afterwards
That's right.
by spreading down to f4. And then they can throw the e5 left to do things. I don't know how that works out. I haven't looked into that as detailed though. But it just seems
Yeah, there are a
really
lot of ideas
overwhelmingly in
here, but
black.
none of them, I think none of them can take back the necessary amount of flats within the next, 3 turns that black can just place flats.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not a threat, but he might be baiting black's capstone to move left, because if he does that, then white can win. So you could bait a bad move out. Because it's been long
Hey,
enough.
actually, well, I don't know if you remember, but that kind of tactic essentially saved me in when I was in the beginner tournament. I think it was a game against maybe even multiple games, but at least one game I think against a Delta I was playing, and I was in a pretty losing situation, but went for a bit of a dirty, sneaky kind of bait tactic that ended up giving me a road.
Those are always so satisfying. Some people really dislike like a sneaky threat or something like that. I really like them because if they're suitably sneaky, it's really satisfying to be able to trick someone into that. Like getting a Tinue is great and all. Like I really like that because it's also that sort of thing. Like you've tricked someone into the point where they can no longer defend. But tricking someone into thinking that they're totally safe and then just crushing them is really satisfying to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think people can disagree about whether a sneaky threat is, good sport or not, but there's it's kind of like what's the difference between just playing a good move, just outplaying your opponent over a long term, which is essentially, you seeing something that they didn't over the course of, 10 turns and you end up with a better position versus you seeing something they didn't over the course of one turn and you end up with a free win.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Ooh, and this is the threat from white, where spreading upwards is the road. Black can now move this capstone left. They can do 3c4 left, but then um,
That's right, it's not pinned anymore.
yeah, but then can white make a threat after that? I don't think so. I mean, unless they move the capstone again.
And I'll say I was being a little bit facetious. I think, I wouldn't want every game to end in a sneaky road. Sometimes there is something satisfying about, a long game where everyone plays, you know, pretty well. Oh, are you thinking what I'm thinking here?
What are you thinking here? Smash? Because I
I think
initially thought
smash.
Smash, but you'd be leaving behind a lot of black flats to be able to spread down. And I think that, oh, that was not what I was thinking.
That's an interesting one though.
It is,
It is a threat.
but you just stop it by spreading the big stack left. Like,
Oh
right?
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like you can move 2c3 left and it's done.
Yeah, you can see that
But
in
but
addition
white
to the
does need to make these crazy weird moves to make threats because they don't have a chance of winning on flats and black has two reserves left. So they need to make
yeah,
weird
yeah.
moves. And if black doesn't do that, if black leaves that B3 stack alone, white's going to throw that capstone on top for the hard cap and be able to run amok.
Yeah, at a certain point as we were talking about, you just have to go for these uh slightly crazy ideas.
Comes down with the wall. Also totally viable play.
And this time white cannot smash that stack because black would have a road. Oh, but they do.
They do, and now black can make a road placing at D3 or spreading down or spreading right. But will they see that? I mean, they've got 7.5 minutes. So I think they should be able to see it, but it is easy to get lost when you see someone else having a road threat. You're like, oh, I have to defend against this. So black
Yeah,
might
yeah.
defend against it instead of making their own road. Because white can spread right or up, and either way, that would be a
Yeah,
road, but black has
well,
the
it
road
almost
first.
it almost looks like Tinue for white if it wasn't simply a road for black.
Exactly.
Which means I think this is a valiant way for white to go out with the loss,
Oh, for sure. Because,
going out
like,
fighting.
I can totally see this messing somebody up. And like Evoshen might fall for it, might defend against this. Nope, doesn't. Sees it, makes the road, takes the win. That was just game one in a
Yeah,
beginner
that was a
tournament.
heck of a
That
game.
was like 35 minutes long, which is a surprising amount of time for a beginner tournament game, though it is semifinals. So, I mean, It's not unheard of.
Well, yeah, you know what's happening is the beginner tournament players are discovering that using all your time is like a really strong strategy.
They've also clearly all watched the TAC University videos.
I mean, you joke about it, but those are actually a pretty good resource. Oh no, wait, shoot, now I'm the one plugging them. Oh god, what have I done?
But that is all for today, folks. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the description below for all things TAC, especially the TAC Discord server, which is the community hub and where you can find all sorts of TAC resources like strategy guides and people to play with, whether right here on playtac.com or asynchronously through the Discord server itself. Lots and lots of great resources and people to play with and great, awesome stuff on there. So be sure to check that out. And until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.